Welcome back to Carl's Q&A. Today we are going to be talking about some frequent questions that we get about our built-in simulator kits. The first question that we have is, what are the space requirements for a built-in kit? So we do have some specific space requirements for a built-in golf simulator. The space can be no more than 11 feet tall. It has to be a nice squared off area. So if you've got something like a vaulted ceiling, if you've got half walls, if you've got soffits, that sort of thing. And unfortunately, a built-in simulator kit won't work in that area. And we would say maybe check out one of our DIY or pro enclosure kits. But otherwise, if you meet all those requirements under 11 feet, square area, then a built-in kit might be a great option for putting into your space. In addition to the size and shape of the space, you also need to have good anchor points for your screen. The screen is going to come with 4 anchors that you secure, one to each side. Most people are going to anchor those into a baseboard down at the floor and a header up at top. So you need to have a good solid connection there. If you try to put it in something like drywall, unfortunately, that's just not going to work. If you plan on using our ceiling or wall panels, again, you need a solid connection point to be able to put the cleats on the back into your wall to be able to make sure you've got a nice, sturdy, solid connection. The next question we have is, what dimensions do I need to provide? So when we are looking at building a built-in for your space, what we'll need to know is the total finished inside height and width of the area. You need to make sure that that's going to include any like plywood or OSB that you're putting on the walls and ceiling, and any flooring that you put in needs to be taken into account. And we need to get those measurements as accurately as we can. That way we can custom make a screen and make sure that it's going to fit properly in your space. So one example is if you are putting down like some flooring and you have like some of our rubber flooring tiles that you're putting down and then covering that up with some turf, you want to take your measurement from the top of that turf to your ceiling when you're giving us your room dimensions. Otherwise, if you are giving us the floor to ceiling, your screen is going to end up being just a bit too big and won't fit properly in the space. So the next question is, what kind of protection is available for my walls and ceiling? First, we have our built-in panels, which are a nice thick foam material with a plywood backing, and then all of that's covered with a nice premium looking black fabric. Those, once you get them fully installed, are about 2.5 inches thick, and those are going to provide the most amount of protection for your walls and ceiling. We also have acoustic panels available. Those are 2 foot by 2 foot squares. They're available in 25 packs. It's a good way to easily cover the walls and ceiling of your space. Instead of the installation with brackets like our wall and ceiling panels have, the acoustic tiles are just adhesive back. So you pull, it's basically like a sticker off the back, and you can secure it to the wall. You can cut it to size. It's a pretty simple installation process. And then we have also our carpet tiles, which are also available in 25 packs of 2 by 2 tiles. And just like the acoustic tiles, they have an adhesive backing, easy to trim and easy to customize to fit your space. Next question, how much depth do I need for the ceiling panels? So let's just quick talk about the depth of the entire thing first. So the minimum depth that we will recommend for the built-in kit is going to be 18 inches. You want to have at least 12 inches of space from the screen to anything behind it, and then you need to have 6 inches of space in front. That 6 inches of space is to be able to secure the flaps that come off of the screen. They extend out towards the golfer. They need to have 6 inches in front. How much space you will need for the panels? So the panels are available in depths of 3 foot increments, so 3, 6, 9, 12 feet. But those panels are going to start 6 inches from the front edge of the screen, because like I just mentioned, your flaps are coming off of the screen 6 inches. So in reality, if you're doing a 3 foot deep panel, you'll need to actually have 3.5 feet of space in front of the screen to be able to accommodate that. So 3.5, 6.5, 9.5, 12.5 feet. So the total depth, the bare minimum is 18 inches, and then going up from there, depending on if you want to have wall and ceiling panels. All right, up next is, I'm making a built-in screen in your Build Your Own tool. Why is there such a big gap between my room height and the viewable height of my screen? So when you're using the build your own tool, you are putting in your actual interior room dimensions. We will custom make a screen to fit that space. The screen does not go all the way to the ceiling. It doesn't go all the way to the walls. There's going to be a little bit of a gap there. The way our built-in kit works is you have a cable that runs around the entire perimeter of the screen that your screen attaches to using zip ties. So there's going to be a bit of a gap between the wall and the cable, and then a gap between the cable and the screen itself. Your screen will then have a 2.5-inch black vinyl border with grommets that runs all the way around the left, right, and top, which is going to take up some more viewable portion. And then the width of your screen is also going to have a black masking. So that's going to run the entire width across the top of your screen, and that's going to eat up a little more viewable portion of your screen. So when you are looking at the build your own tool and you see a gap between the outside room dimensions that you provide and the viewable screen size, that's totally normal, and the screen will be designed to fit your space. All right, up next is I have a launch monitor going where my ceiling panels are installed. How do I get around that? Well, we don't have an official process for cutting the panels, and it's not necessarily something we recommend. We have had some more advanced DIYers do it themselves. Like I mentioned earlier, it's foam with kind of like a plywood backing. So if you're comfortable with doing it, you can remove the black fabric cover, cut it down yourself, and then try to reinstall everything. One option would be just kind of omitting panels totally from the area where you're going to be putting up the launch monitor, and instead ordering something like our acoustic tiles, which are much easier to install, much easier to cut, and so it'll make it a simple process to be able to get your launch monitor installed in that area. So that is it for today's Q&A. If there's any topics that you'd like us to cover in a future episode, please let us know in the comments below. And as always, like and subscribe for more content on building your own golf simulator setup.